What's for Breakfast, the Desire to Inspire Studios Foundation. My name is Trevor Henley, and I'm the inspirational activist for Desire to Inspire Studios. And we have with us
Ralph Feasby, Operations Director for Desire to Inspire Studios. Across from me is
Michael Pritchard, just a guy around town who loves to help community. That's what I do. And speaking of community, one of the most amazing leaders of our regional community and our local community, Margaret Farman. Margaret Farman is the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay, an amazing group that does remarkable work in multiple locations in the Bay, in Napa, all the way up into Fairfield. They do great stuff. She is, I got to know her because our kids played sports together. Aww. How great is that? And Cerebral Bulldogs. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, Bulldogs. Anyway,
pretty good.
Maybe I should try and be more sophisticated.
Yeah, right.
No.
But Margaret.
That's why we have you on the show.
That part.
I'm not that sophisticated. Anyway, but Margaret, you know, what you do is, it's almost incomprehensible what you've accomplished since you started working there years ago with a good buddy of mine, Ron Hamilton. I used to work with the Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I'm astounded by the work. Tell us the nature of the locations and the places that you are executive director of.
No, thank you.
No, come on.
No pressure. Well, it's just I can't equal that intro. Thank you very much.
You're loved.
Thank you. I feel the love, and you're loved.
I know that.
So our organization, United Cerebral Palsy of the North Bay, is a organization that serves children and adults with developmental disabilities through a number of different activities. We have a non-public school, Cypress School in Petaluma, that serves about 75 children on mostly the autism spectrum or similar needs. So pretty intensive kids who aren't able to get educated in our public school system, although we also try to support schools to do a better job.
And your doors are wide open as a resource center.
Thank you. It's very, very true. We also run a behavioral after school program for those children, so their families can work, essentially. So then we have 3 employment training programs, one in Sonoma County called Old Adobe Developmental Services, ODS now, and in Napa, we have a wine repacking business where we employ people with disabilities called Weinbev Services. And in Fairfield, we run a recycling program where our folks work doing sorting for a variety of different e-waste, paper shredding and recycling, and also we just opened thrift stores now, where we have 2 thrift stores, one in Santa Cruz and one in Roanoke Park, and we're doing employment training for people with disabilities at those sites, as well as doing all of the collecting and sorting and pricing at the Fairfield site, Gone for Good.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. But the other thing is, as you get to them, and you watch, each one is fascinating. Weinbev Pack is just because they work, and then they go to art classes and they learn skill sets and life skill sets and art resources, and their art teachers are their gifts to humanity, right?
We also are working in the community in small groups with those folks.
Yes.
So for a variety of different corporate partners like Friedman's or Lagunitas Brewing or other packing companies in Napa. So we love that as an element of what we do, because that is the trajectory for folks then getting out into supported employment and actually getting employed by our partners.
That relationship.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Amazing.
And people ask me how you can help. Hire a person with a disability. You will not regret it. It's so inspiring, and their morale is so high, and that is catching for other employees in the organization.
Exactly.
So I can't tell you over the course of my career, which has been 47 years now, that
She said 47.
we've seen this just remarkable improvement in our culture for acceptance of people with disabilities. And we have a ways to go still. I mean, let's be honest, our unemployment rate for people with disabilities is much higher than the typical population. So,
And we need them to come and be harvested into our system that teaches love, self-love, and teaches the parents that same valuable resource of the young person learning how to take care of themselves.
absolutely. The enthusiasm that these folks have for work is really, well, we were just talking before this about the, when you love your work, it's you don't even have to wait for Friday. Every day is a weekend, and
You're grateful. They're so grateful to be employed and working and around people, because I think sometimes the isolation, sometimes self-isolation and the loneliness, it can impact you. But we get them, and then they come alive at work.
and then they get us.
Right. Exactly right. No, it's so
Because we
true.
then can bring a little bit more. I'll just say for myself, I really didn't. I didn't have a passion. Some people have photography or an art, or they're just their sense of humor and who they are just moves them through life. I discovered mine through this work, and I've been so grateful to those angels, frankly.
And it's a family business for you too.
It really is.
Family is.
I will say this: we have over 200 employees now. We think of all of us as extended family, actually. But I also do have family members. I was just saying, my son Nate, who went to videography school, went to UC Santa Cruz to become a videographer. Is now the
Banana slugs, yo.
is now the principal of Cypress School. So,
and a remarkable spirit.
Yeah.
A number of other, sort of extended family kids that I grew up with are teachers and facility managers there, and so we put everyone in the family to work.
That's amazing.
But what did it do? Because this is the stuff that because all of us will come in contact with the neurodiverse world, all of us, whether it's in our own family or whatever. But when we have a resource like this that teaches us how to teach the rest of the community, which is what happened when I was there with friends like Steve Gatlin from the Marine Corps and Margaret and Ron Hamilton, just watching them teach us how to teach the community was it's just been a blessing.
And I will say, I want to give a shout out to Laura Brigham, who was she knew this is what she wanted to do since she was in junior high. She started teaching swimming lessons to a young man with autism in junior high, and that's what has gotten created from that point. She was my boss, I was her boss, she was my boss. She's retired, but it was her inspiration for Cypress School, and her find another way, find what they're good at and build on it, and just her commitment to bringing out the best in people has just really been remarkable. And we're glad she's still consulting with us, as is Ron. So we don't let anybody leave the family. Once you're in the family, you can go get a different job, but you're always a member of the family.
Always a contributing part. Yeah.
That's right. And
That's awesome.
Oh, I almost forgot, the most fun part of what we do is recreation.
Yes.
Right.
So my organization, the heart of the organization, I think, is recreation. And we actually try to do that in the school and in the employment training sites also. But we then also have a separate recreation program where we are you know, teaching kids to ride bicycles. We're teaching kids to swim. We're teaching kids to enjoy camp. We're, you know, really, we have a few overnight camps that we do for the adults so they can get away from
Surfing
their families.
camps.
We've got a beautiful partnership with Spectrum Surf Camps. That is miraculous
Yes,
for these
it
kids
is,
on the
yeah.
spectrum to
Right.
see them learn to
see
surf.
them and
Yeah.
film. I've watched films of that, and it's just they're in the ocean and exploding with an enthusiasm and a passion and something that they would never normally get to do. The same with equine therapy. The same with everything that we
Absolutely.
touch, and it teaches us. You know, because what I've done is I've taken combat veterans to see this, and they act all tough until they're there. And then the tears begin, and they try to hide them, and they try to act all, but then you watch them because they're learning the vulnerability and yet the same gratitude that comes with being a person who defended the world for freedom in many ways. But at the same time, you're learning that peace is where we need to be for these folks, right?
I imagine for veterans, they spend a lot of time watching people take for granted what they fought for, and to be able to witness children who can appreciate the simplicity of being able to do those things is the purest form of gratitude. They appreciate things in a way that we move through our lives not.
Every week she does this to me. Every week she does this to me. It's like, I can't sit in her class. I'll never sit in her class. Okay. Anyway, yes, that is
Yeah.
the
Spot
nail.
on.
The nail, yeah. But tell them about wine bev pack, you know. Yeah.
So we started Weinbev in 2008 with Mike Lysenko, who is now overseeing all of our business operations across all 3 counties, and Ron Hamilton. And we started with 3 employees with disabilities, and now it's grown to about 100 people with disabilities. We had this vision. So for years in our field, people with disabilities were measured by their productivity rate, and they were paid piecemeal by their productivity rate. And we felt that was something off about that.
Right.
No one paid us by our productivity rate, and we certainly had varying levels of productivity depending on the day. And we decided this needed to be normalized for folks with disabilities. And so Mike Lysenko is amazing about developing partnerships with businesses and getting contracts for our folks to work on.
Up in the Napa Valley.
Up in the
that
Napa
area,
Valley,
yeah.
we're in the Air Park area of Napa, and we have some program and classroom space there, and we also have a very large warehouse where production occurs. And when you are working on production, you're paid minimum wage, sometimes a little higher if you have supervisorial strengths. And so we see this tremendous amount of pride take place in these folks
Exactly.
when they can really do real work and contribute and get a paycheck every couple weeks, just like
Independence.
the rest of us do. We love to work, but it helps to get paid, and
Yeah.
it helps to be valued for
And the
what your
families
contributions are.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we're really, Weinbev was our first, we call it social enterprise, because it combines the employment training with the contract work with our business partners. So we're very grateful for those folks who reached out and took a chance on us back in the early days, and it was challenging to get enough contracts to put enough people to work.
Can you tell the audience out there what the early days were? What around what time was that?
So
And
that
what
was 2008, 2009, and then I will say in these last years during the pandemic, we've seen an explosion of willing partners. So because the labor force is under pressure right now, that there is not enough, there are not enough folks to do the work that is needed. We've had this amazing gift of now a lot more opportunity for our folks.
And don't you think people are waking up to?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
To
I
the
do too.
benefits of the partnership.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Tell them about when they are disassembling computers and stuff in that way. I find this fascinating.
So,
This is great work.
I believe it was 2010 or 11, we started a contract with the federal government through Source America, picking up paper waste from the IRS and bringing it into our facility and shredding it and reselling it. It's become very challenging to run that. We still run that component. We actually probably run it at a little bit of a loss, frankly. You know, the federal government can be a little cheap, and so we're working on that. We're working on getting them to pay us. But it's a fabulous job for folks that are physically challenged because it can be done on a sorting tray, sort of like this, into a big machine, and they can be in wheelchairs.
Right.
They can have very limited mobility and still be able to do the work.
And they get fascinated by dissembling computers, things.
So that's another component
Yeah.
at Gone for Good is they do e-waste deconstruction. So they take apart e-waste, we separate and sell the components for resale. That from the last time you visited, Mike, that's shrunk a bit because the market for reselling e-waste has really since China has shut their door to those components has really shrunk. So what we're doing now is we accept higher end e-waste and just resell it through the thrift stores. So that's
nice.
And that we develop that component of our work to help replace the loss of e-waste.
And is there, as you've transitioned to that resale, are your participants getting to kind of go through the process of learning how those components can be refurbished? And
Yes. And not just that, so they can take apart the stuff and do that sorting, but they also can work on packaging the stuff that is resold on eBay.
Right.
We had a whole little eBay store called North Bay Tech. And now through the thrift stores as well. And the thrift stores are also beginning to operate an online presence for the good stuff. And we're training, and sometimes they train us, frankly, because they're younger and they know what
right.
It's more intuitive, right?
they know what would sell.
Right.
I've sort of moved out of that, the marketplace now changes so quickly.
Exactly.
And they're a little more in tune to that than I am.
Trending things, things that are trending.
Exactly.
I wanted to speak to, by the way, I will point out that this episode is supposed to be women in leadership, and I feel like we're just going to go ahead and just let that be okay.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now.
I'm sure we're going to get there.
I'm going to say, to segue into that, that a trait of a really good leader is to have a deep passion for what they do. That it's very difficult to be a good leader if you can't find that spark.
Right.
And so you've seen me describe the spark for me.
Right.
And
Well, we can see it.
Yeah.
I don't
can
think
feel it.
I don't know that I am a natural
Yes, you are.
leader.
Yes, you are.
I think this pulled me into
the role.
leadership.
You became. But still.
I felt I was invited, like the environment invited me.
And maybe that's one of the secrets that people don't understand about finding what their passion is if it feels like an invitation, it's probably something you should pursue.
Right.
Boy,
regardless of how
you
difficult
have
it is.
these great little
I know.
wisdom
I say it's
pearls, right? This woman needs to write.
I have said that. Thank you. Okay. Your Honor, may I point out that I brought this to the court's attention?
I don't.
I want the daily readings when that gets published.
Well, I'm so engaged in your story. There's so much diversity in what you've been able to accomplish. And you keep throwing stuff out. I'm like, ooh, but then you keep talking. I'm like, ooh, that's good too. You pointed out the the need in the workforce as a result of the pressures from the pandemic, and I find it maybe like cynically laughable that we had as of yet this untouched, underserved, underappreciated workforce
yeah.
that all of a sudden is in high demand. There is a need, and I think that speaks to a quicker shift in becoming more inclusive to this particular portion of our community, is because, you know, people don't realize there is a need until there's a need, and people don't recognize people's gifts, their abilities, their potential until it is a need. And I love the fact that you started this so long ago and have met our community where we are now. Like, you prepared this amazing group of young people and adults for this moment. And that's...
So can I talk about the heroes that we haven't talked about yet?
Sure.
And that is our staff that supports and trains and works side by side with the neurodiverse, as Michael likes to say. And the moment, it's a very important moment right now that those direct support professionals are everyday heroes, like our healthcare workers. They are showing up to do the work, and they also need a spotlight on them for what they do, how they contribute,
what they have accomplished, because they were ready, as you pointed out, for the awakening. We had an appointment for the awakening. The awakening is now, and that we can never go back.
No.
We can never go back. Now, once awakened, you know, there's a wonderful line by Vignale. He said, in order to make your dreams come true, the most important thing you do is wake up. And we're awake to the ability of a workforce that is ebullient, happy, grateful, and can work hard. And as well, we're doing good by doing good, correct?
And to your point of meeting the moment, when the moment occurs, I was blown away to watch these direct support heroes, I call them, pivot, like literally in a week or two, to figuring out how to support and stay connected with people through technology. And I would not have predicted that were possible. I just would not have predicted it. And
Why not, Margaret? I think
because connecting through a phone or a TV set for folks that have attention issues, and I think...
Are you looking at me right now?
I was a little bit, actually.
He's not alone. He's not alone.
So that can be challenging. It's to watch a long TV show or to stay on a screen for 4 hours a day can be challenging. And yet the synchronicity that occurred between those that were being supported and those that were supporting in that moment that occurred, I have been so impressed. And often it's been interesting that some of the people that you would have assumed would have the hardest time have had the easiest time, because they feel more in control of their environment through some of the screen work.
I so understand this.
Some of our best classes and our biggest accomplishments have been with people who had a lot more anxiety in person on site because of the crowd and the unpredictability of the milieu and all of that, and so we've really seen some amazing progress. And to that, I hope we don't lose some of the positives that have come out of the pandemic. And I also hope that we can figure out ways to pay my direct support heroes living wages, which we're not yet. Many of the people that I support, and this is true. So I can have a person with a developmental disability get a job and get paid more than their job coach that's supporting them and teaching them how to do that job. And that that just can show you how challenging we are as a system to need to address these inequities, I call them, because they are. And many times their skill sets are as complex as a teacher or a professor, and yet they're paid a babysitting wage, and that is not, well, in fact, babysitters make more in Marin, but
no lies told. Not a one.
I mean, it's like managerial, like you can get the workers, can you get them into a manager position in those companies or something like that?
So I'm going to say this is a crisis, and you've probably heard this. It's going to probably be a defining crisis in the coming decade, and it's called the caregiver crisis. Right. And I almost don't like using the word caregiver because it sort of implies less than what is expected in terms of partnering with this.
Mentor teacher?
Yes.
I have a feeling about that. The minimization of the term caregiver bothers me deeply because there's an automatic minimization of that terminology until you list all of what that job implies.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh no, who wants to be all of those things?
Who can be? Who can be?
But there are many people in the world who do it. And they do it for their entire adult lives. Sometimes they do it from the time they're old enough to be able to bottle feed a child. And then they do it all the way through their lives.
Yes.
So, I mean, not to say that another terminology will not be more effective at this point in time, but just
well, and when we talk about women and women in leadership and women in life, this is part of why I feel it's been minimized, unfortunately, because is that it's been done mostly by women. Right. It is shifting culturally.
Yes.
I think, frankly, men are seeing the gift and value in caregiving more now, both their own children and others.
It helps them health-wise, it helps them passion-wise, it helps them gratitude-wise, it helps them vision-wise. And you know, Mackenzie Scott, if somebody out there sends this to her, she has given away $17 billion and she made $35 billion. She's looking for opportunities to give. The same with our folks in the city. Think now what you've been listening to. Think now. Think. Look inside and you'll know what to do. You'll know the right thing to do, because this is exactly what needs to be fed. This wellness for all needs to be given the water of life, the substance, and the passion that has been begged for by all of us who do this work.
But we do want to say, Mackenzie, thank you.
Thank you for the work you have done.
Attitude of gratitude in this latitude.
Appreciate your big heart.
And keep it up.
You guys, we're closing up, coming up on the close of our show. Mike, thank you for that recognition. Margaret, I just want to tell you right now, like I said, you're already here, and we're family too. So I expect to see you again. I expect to see you on our show. I expect to see you on We Are the Remedy. I expect updates on new programs. We would love to follow your story. We'd love to document your story.
You guys inspire, and what you do is inspiring, and I would love to be part of your family as well and support you in whatever way I can. Thanks for being such a great megaphone for positive things happening in our community.
Amplify the good.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't said probably more than 2 words this entire episode. This is, I've been soaking so much in, but the clear thing that sticks out to our mind, or my mind, is, you know, we're trying to provide these opportunities for people to do photography and videography as a career by giving back to nonprofit organizations. And we're trying to reach all the different demographics, and that includes the neurodiverse. And so my brain kind of went off on a little bit tangent going, wow. Because
that's why he was so quiet. He was in Trevorland.
I was totally
building
in
bridges.
Trevorland. I was building,
he was in Trevorland building bridges.
Because, I mean, I'm thinking as far as like part of why we're doing this show was originally because of teen suicide. And a conversation around that was like, okay, today we need to create something that we can reach out and give people a platform to communicate openly. And a lot of it is I know I'm neurodiverse. I'm very dyslexic, or dyslexic, as I like to say. But it's to give people an opportunity that don't fit into mainstream. And I've had these visions and these ideas of going in and teaching and presenting to classes, because it's like, look, if you get stuff backwards all the time, you're our people. Like, if you have a hard time in mainstream society, you're our people. If you have a message that you want to give and you don't know how to get it out of your mouth or onto paper or out of a computer or anything, like, you're our people. And I've just always been insanely grateful of the work that I've been able to do. And even right out of high school, doing the school portraits, as we mentioned earlier, I was always the photographer that had all of these special needs kids, because I loved them. It was amazing to sit there and take the time to meet them where they were at, and to have the helpers come in and be like, wait, someone cares, and we're going to get great photos of their kid. And they were just another kid, you know. And it was I mean, I did it for 6 years, and then I've been with DSE and everything, and it's just like, oh, my mind. Can you tell my mind's exploding?
Yeah.
So anyway, we are probably out of time about 10 minutes ago now, but I really thank you for today. And
thank you for the invitation.
It was amazing.
So much fun.
the one thing, just to bring it back to women in leadership, any advice for women in leadership?
Follow your passion, follow your invitation. Don't give up. I would say, passion and persistence for me have really paid off. And I love my life, and you all can love your lives. Right. Passion and persistence.
100%.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Where action
meets compassion. So thank you very much for joining us. Remember, go out there, share your story, share a smile, give someone a compliment, give everyone a compliment, see what happens. And thank you for joining us in Being People, Helping People at Desire to Inspire Studios Foundation. Donuts for breakfast. And thank you again, Margaret.
Namaste, but I'm Irish Catholic, so I say no mass today.
Namaste here.